There's really two kinds of wood turning. One of them is spindle turning, which would be balusters, bedposts, lamp posts, newel posts, those kinds of things. And what spindle turning is that the grain of the wood is running between the centers on the lathe. And so as we're cutting, we're constantly cutting into the side of the piece of wood. If you think of it as a tree, the tree really is mounted between the centers. And as it's spinning, we're carving away little bits of its side. Another analogy we use is a bundle of straws. The straws are all running between the centers, and we're just cutting parts of them. So that kind of turning is much more disciplined. It's similar to, for those of us who are older, when the figure skaters used to do compulsory figures and then did their free skate. The compulsory figures were very exacting. Horseback riders do dressage, which is very precise and exacting. So spindle turning really lends itself to being that greater precision. I like to start all my students with spindle turning. It's not harder, it's different. But they learn a lot about how the tools are sharpened and how the tools address the wood to cut it cleanly. So that when we move to the other kind of turning, which is bowl turning, where actually the grain of the wood is turned 90 degrees. It's much stronger. It lends itself to doing a lot more different kinds of variety of things. It's frequently the source of hollow forms or platters, all those kinds of wood-turned items. And we use a different kind of tool, a bowl gouge, and incorporated in that bowl gouge is essentially all the different shapes of the spindle tools. But because of the engineering, it needs to be a more rugged piece. And so we talk about once-turned bowls and twice-turned bowls. The other feature as we get into particularly bowl style or hollow form turning, and again, that includes platters. We're not just talking about bowls and dishes. We're talking about having to work with the wood a little bit differently because it's going to warp, it's going to change its shape in a meaningful way, and you want to find a way to work with it so that when it dries and when it stabilizes, it is artistically pleasing.